everybody. Welcome to another episode of Madge Unmuted. I am your host, Madge Madigan. Welcome. And with me, as always, is my trusty producer, Fitz.
Hello.
Hi, Fitzaroo.
What's going on? Fitzaroo! Do I have a little pouch for my youngins?
Yes, you do.
Awesome.
Anyway, Fitz, Rockfox Studios.
Yes.
Check them out for all your recording needs. Rockfox.com.
.com.
And here we go with our guest for this week. Very excited to introduce you to WXXI sanctioned best friends who happen to host a podcast together.
That would be us.
That would be us. Introduce yourselves.
Well, Amy, you go first because you're on top.
Oh!
Hi, I'm Amy Stevens, and I'm one of the co-hosts and co-producers of the Transformation Thursday podcast, based out of here in Rochester. I also do some stand-up comedy around town, and I'm a graduate mental health counseling student out at SUNY Brockport.
Wow. Underachievers again,
Slackers.
Fitz.
Always have slackers on this show. What's wrong with you?
And Penny.
Hi, I'm Penny. I can't top that. What do you want from me?
I know.
You're a fabulous storyteller. Get it right.
I am a fabulous storyteller. I am that, and a former stand-up comedian. I was actually, this is true. I was voted funniest man in Rochester in 1992.
Wow.
Yeah, something's changed since then, obviously.
Oh, yeah. The population has totally grown since 92.
Yeah, and I no longer live in Rochester, so that's what's true.
Yeah, there you go.
No, that's not true. I do live in Rochester. I'm just not funny anymore.
What?
Oh, come on now.
You're one of the funniest people I know.
Well, you don't know many people, do you?
No, not too many, but the few I do,
She just knows two.
I know 3 people.
Not family doesn't count, and neither do pets. So
Damn. My cat's hilarious.
Damn. All right.
what do we?
Let me ask you the first thing. Okay, so you were both former comedians.
Well, Amy is a current comedian,
Oh, wait, you're a current comedian.
and I only do comedy when I'm I'm a storyteller. I do a lot of stories about what it's like being transgender. A lot of the stuff that I talk about is a little bit touchy and heartrending and poignant. So because I have a comedic background, I will incorporate comedy into it. And the only time I really do any stand-up comedy is when I'm writing a story, because I want to make sure that the comedy lands.
Mm-hmm. So I want to hear about your podcast.
The podcast. Yeah, so Penny and I, let's see, one day we were sitting around a coffee shop, right?
Yeah,
and I
we
said,
do.
let's do a podcast together. And so we started talking, and we're going to call it Transformation Tuesday, but the URL was already taken. So
And we were busy on Tuesdays.
So we had to bump over a couple days to make sure we could get the URL, and we were less busy usually on Thursdays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we really record on Sundays. That's the nasty little secret.
You know, let's not
How
let
did that happen?
don't tell everybody here what day it is on this one, because it ain't Thursday. So I've listened to your podcast. I really enjoy it because it's really informative and you're damn funny.
Oh, thank you.
So you have a day job of
I'm going to grad school, and I'm also working as a barista at Starbucks as I work my way back through as graduate school right now.
okay.
Are you able to spell the names properly, or is that a company-wide thing?
That's just one of those things on the stickers where it just says word soup.
Oh, gotcha. Everybody's
Word
Joan.
soup.
To me, that's what it'll be.
I'd
And
starve.
Penny, you have a
I have I do a lot of freelance work.
Oh, okay.
I am a seasoned video professional.
Oh.
And that seasoning is smoked paprika, of course.
Oh, I
everything-
was hoping for cumin.
Well,
Okay.
you can cumin to my house anytime. No, sorry.
Wow.
You asked me here. What do you want?
We love it. We love it.
So anyhow,
You're making us feel like underachievers with our one-liners today. We got to warm up.
No. So anyhow, I do a lot of video work, and I also have a part-time job, like half a mile from Amy's job. Who'da thunk it? Both of our jobs are in like a suburb that neither of us live in, and we're half a mile from each other. I work at Staples in Greece.
Oh, okay.
In the print and marketing department. So you've seen me there, haven't you?
No, I used to work there several years ago.
Oh, my
probably
goodness.
4 or 5 years ago in that department.
Oh, my goodness.
And it damn near drove me crazy.
It is a crazy making department. It really is. It is, I don't know why, but it is the busiest.
Yeah. And lines were always out the window, out the door, whatever.
Wanted to throw them out the window.
Exactly. And they're woefully understaffed at the time. So, and I hadn't been trained fully.
Some things don't change.
Yeah. So they're like, okay, here. And I'm really pretty good at stuff, computer and stuff, but like they have different software, you know, they have different, and then, well, not to go on, but people want you to like, here, I want you to take this, picture out of the newspaper and make it into a work of art.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
a poster size. And it's like,
no,
it's not the way this works.
Exactly.
The ones that always get me are the ones that think I'm the self in self-serve. It's like, I'm not kidding you. I hear you. It's like, I need this faxed. Okay, the faxing goes, I don't know how to do it. I actually had a guy, as I was teaching him how to fax, hit on me. It's like, okay, many things going wrong here. Number one is, just no, ew. Number two, even if I was interested, I'm not going to be interested in somebody who doesn't know how to use 1980s technology. All right? Just forget about that.
And the one where you would have people come in and they had to fax something, and it was always like, to the government,
right?
To prove your unemployment or something, whatever, insurance, whatever. And sometimes it would be like this, 20-page document, and when you tell them it's like, $2 a page or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well,
yeah.
I want it, not for nothing, but like you there's other ways that are cheaper.
Exactly. Absolutely. Like, $2.40. I thought, really? Yes. Really?
Yeah.
I could say no, but I would be lying.
Right.
That's what it is. I don't set the prices. Then they yell at you, why is it so expensive? Because that's who Mr. Staples. Yeah, that's what Mr. Staples
and
wants.
Profit.
Exactly.
Just send him over my way for the $11 coffee.
Well,
that's a darn good $11 coffee, though.
In one day.
It really is.
But that I had to leave because it was just I was in this position at the time, I'm just gonna go get a retail job.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then you have to apply online.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like 10 pages and a psychological test and a background test and whatever. And, I have 40 years of experience and a college degree, and I didn't answer the questions the right way. Mm-hmm. And so I didn't even get an interview.
Yeah, that's always
Am
horrible.
I a psychopath?
No, that's right. No, that's just the way a lot of sales and corporations are. They live and breathe by these personality tests.
Exactly.
And for a lot of jobs today, you can't even get through to somebody unless you have the right keywords on your resume and the software forwards it on to a person.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. It seems to me that the criteria and the pay or workforce or whatever don't match.
Yeah.
You're complaining about getting people. Well, if somebody has really not a lot of skills, experience, maybe they have a record or, whatever, and you're going to pay a minimum wage, but yet you want them to learn all the, expect to get in all the keywords with a resume and I don't know.
Yeah.
Drives my ass crazy.
Yeah. And the other thing that they don't bother telling us is they also do they also do a credit check on you, which.
No.
Yeah. They do a credit check. So if you have.
Why do you think I want a job?
I know, exactly. And if you get below a certain number, you don't make it. And so that's another thing, which I think is, especially now it's another form of unseen prejudice. I mean, there's like, I've got like ageist prejudice, I've got transgender prejudice, and I've got financial prejudice. I mean, I don't do anything involving money as in my job. I'm a video professional. I did.
Yeah, I know that whole story.
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. There's very little money, which is why I have financial issues. I have two brilliant kids who needed college and who went to like these great private schools that even with financial aid were expensive.
I hear you.
And, so because of that, you get, they lop off a whole bunch of people. Credit checks weren't even a thing 20 years ago.
I've seen this meme online that cracks me up, but also makes me cry because it's a couple different people have done it. And they're like, it's mostly on TikTok, getting a job in 1970. Somebody walks in, hey, can I have a job? Sure. What can you start Monday? Sure. Do you need to know my name or anything? No, just show up.
Exactly.
And then today it's, and then now they say, here's my resume. I have a master's degree and 3 references and 10 years of experience and whatever. And the guy takes it and throws it away and goes, fuck you. That's it.
Do you remember the Incredible Hulk?
Yeah.
The most improbable part about that was Bruce Banner would walk from town to town and they'd give him a job. Like this stranger walks into town. Oh yeah, sure, you can. You can be the lovable town.
I always
doctor.
like to hire a guy that wanders in and off the streets with torn pants.
But he's a white guy.
That's true.
Yeah, that helps.
Well, is he green?
He's somewhat He's green. Yeah, he's green sometimes.
Yeah, but still, but networking is still the way most jobs get filled. And that's my daughter went through this because she applied at Starbucks as well. And it's like, no, I don't want you to help me. I don't want you to help me. I tell my manager who tells another manager, and a week and a half later, she's, starting.
Yeah.
And Starbucks here locally right now, I mean, it's $15.50 an hour.
Holy crap.
That's not bad money for,
Yeah, no.
And so, and the company is great. They have great benefits and, and they treat, what Penny alluded to, so, great benefits for us who are transgender, great health care for part-time workers. You only have to work 20 hours a week to get health insurance and other benefits. So, I mean, it's a great organization to work for. For
great.
my daughter, who's 19, her first quote-unquote real job, it's a great place for her to learn people skills and get that. But still, it took that old-fashioned step of, somebody reaching out to somebody to make it happen.
I absolutely. I have 3 kids, the youngest of which is graduating from Syracuse on Saturday.
Congratulations.
Talk about expensive private schools.
Yeah. Oh, that's not even. The other 2 went to NYU and Quinnipiac.
Oh, boy.
Wow.
And all 3.
I thought Quinnipiac was a Starbucks drink. Oh, Vente Mocha Quinnipiac, please. With a shot of raspberry. Half calf. Extra foam. Double cream.
It's a Vente Quinnipiac.
That's just the tuition.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, when they were, looking for, well, Christ, even when they were in high school looking for part-time jobs, they kept sending out. My son has always been like the absolute workhorse of sending out resumes. I mean, that kid, he lives in New York, and when there's times he needed a job, this kid would send out 400 resumes.
Jeez.
And I'm like, I just don't have.
Man, after 30, I would have given up.
Exactly. But he can just fire them off. But like with me at my age, I have done so many different things, and raising 3 kids mostly by myself, there were times where I had to do whatever. So, I've done everything from marketing and radio and real estate and print sales and everything, admin. Christ, I did admin assistant up the wazoo. And so when you're looking, it's like, okay, here's a job that I can do. Let me completely change my resume around to do this one. But remember back in the day when you could you go to Kinko's and print off, 80 resumes and the same cover letter and just put them all and fire them out. Now you have to like reinvent the wheel every time you send something out. But I forget why the hell I brought up my kids. So yeah, it was like, and coming back in for landing. And I found that somebody would be like, oh, let them do themselves. I'm like, do themselves. That was weird. Sorry. Let me have them try and do it themselves. But it's like, no, if I can give them somebody's name and say, you know, my mom, then what? But I also find it's different where my significant other lives out in Fairhaven, where, you know, there's like 1,000 residents. It's so small out there. I can say, like, somebody's like, oh yeah, I need help over at whatchamacallit. Oh, I can do it. I can be there, whatever. Okay, you're hired.
Yeah.
But, you know, forget it. In Rochester, it's like I can't even get through the front line of the keyword damn thing.
I tried to get a job at Home Depot. What was it? Whenever they were doing that, like, great hire, the mass hiring they were doing some years ago. It was probably like 5 or 6 years ago. And I went through the whole process, came in for a second interview, but they screwed up. So my second interview was their first interview. They were doing the same interview again. So I did the interview. I came in, and then I'm sitting there. I'm like, I already did all this. I answered all these questions, and they're like, so you're going to do it again then? And I'm like, okay, is this a test to see if you can put me through a bunch of bullshit and I'll take it?
Yeah.
Fine. I need the work. And I still didn't get the job.
Well, not with that attitude.
No, that was what I was feeling on the inside. On the outside, it was all smiles and yes or no, sir.
But yeah, I mean, I can't tell you how many times in the past several years that because I took a break and was going back to school, and I applied to everything, Barnes and Noble, Target. No, I didn't even get an interview.
Nope. What about letting go? How about the firing process? When was the last time you got fired?
Those were good times. J Advertising, 2008.
Oh my God, so many times.
Yeah, well, here's
that was very specific and quick.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
last time I was fired.
The firing process has gotten really weird too.
Yeah, it has. I got let go because of COVID last year. I was working at Record Archive, and I loved that job. But like, they had just hired like 6 of us part-timers, and she was real nice. Like the day everything shut down, she's like, I'm going to have to like lay everybody off. Okay. And then, you know, later I got a letter in the mail that said, I've got these full-time people that have been here for a long time, and I'm not going to be able to hire. I'm like, okay, cool. I get it. But yeah, I'd been at ones before where, like, you know, they bring in the whole team to, you know, it's like, this is embarrassing enough. Really, I don't need an audience.
Yeah, the last one for me was when Time Warner was sold to Spectrum, or Bright House Communications, or whatever it was called. It's now called Spectrum. And everyone, we're going to keep everything the same. We're going to keep everything the same. And then one day they had a department-wide meeting, and there were 3 people sitting there that we didn't know, and they were HR people from like Columbus, Scranton, Pennsylvania, and someplace in Connecticut, and they gave them each an office, and we were called in one by one about this. And I remember I got called into the office, and somebody that I never knew before looked at me and said, "Well, your job has been impacted." And I said, and I said, well, and I said, what does that mean?
Compacted?
Well, I said, what does that mean?
Trash compacted.
And I said, what does that mean? And she was like, well, it means your job has been affected. And I said, affected how? How is my job affected? And this was her response. This was her response right here. Here's her response. Literally, she said nothing. And finally, after 2 minutes, I said, am I being fired? And she said, yes. It was like, was she not allowed to say
Thank you for saying it.
You really suck at your job, lady.
It's like, what? Why could you not say that?
Yeah.
Why they had to bring? It was like they felt more. They're being more careful with the people who were doing the letting go than they did the people who were being let go. They brought in people we'd never seen before, and they did that.
Yeah, that's my son works for the City of New York Health Plan. So it's called Metro Health Plus. Anyway, and he's a kind of in HR. Mm-hmm. And so that's one of his jobs, is to be there in the firing, letting people go. And I'm like, I could not do that. I just don't. I have such anxiety, and I get so cringy about other people, being embarrassed or mad or whatever. I couldn't do it.
Too empathetic.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, how do you do it? And he's like, well, you get used to it. And I'm like,
I wouldn't want to.
No, thank you.
Yeah. No, thanks.
I'm good on that one. Okay.
Have we started yet, by the way? Okay.
Yeah. No, see, this is what we do. We just go where it goes.
Then we were talking about the podcast.
We're gonna.
Okay.
Nah, we're coming back around.
So we're gonna do a podcast talking about a podcast. I like
exactly.
So meta. It's so meta.
So let's talk about your podcast again. Kind of, sort of, for the first
What's
time.
the podcast about?
Transformations, believe it or not. Hence the term transformation.
It's in
Thursday,
the title.
Fitz.
So yeah, I figured it had something to do with that.
Yeah, but not just trans, because we're both transgender. But the basic idea behind it is that in society things change. Oftentimes they change rapidly. And people are usually okay with that in a lot of different ways. And so it was like, my idea was, we're going to talk about transgender issues, and we do that quite a bit. But we also talk about how things change and how people change, oftentimes dramatically in their lives, or organizations change dramatically in their lives. So like this last week, we had someone from the Human Rights Campaign come in and talk about the transgender bills that are being spewed out in red states. Before the week before that, I was trying to remember, who do we have the week before that?
El Chenier.
No, El Chenier was 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago.
And
No,
last week was
Lindsey Boylan.
Lindsey Boylan, yeah.
We had Lindsey Boylan on, who's running for borough president in Manhattan, who was also the first woman to come out with allegations against Andrew Cuomo. And that was a fantastic interview because we spent an hour with Lindsey, and she went really heartfelt, really long. And you could, when you have a public servant like Lindsey who's running for office, referring to the governor of the state of New York as a monster multiple times, that says a lot about her courage, and what she's standing up for our society, for our daughters, for our granddaughters, whoever. And so it was a really amazing interview.
Yeah, I really liked that. And I have to say also it struck a nerve. I'm
sure it strikes a lot of nerve.
That anytime I hear a woman's story like that, because I'd been through it, and it just fries my ass when anybody will ever say, "Why didn't you come out in the first place?" Like when oh my God, when Kavanaugh had his hearing, and Ford. I can't remember her name, but anyway, it had been several decades, and they're like, oh, well, it must not happen if she didn't come out about it then. And it's like, that's not the way this works.
No, it's not the way it works. And I don't know a woman who hasn't been sexually abused or harassed.
Exactly.
And I have daughters, and especially, I can't get too far in the weeds of this because it's not my story to tell. But, when I hear these stories from girls my daughter's age, 19, 20, 21, and they're already living this stuff as they're coming into college and into the workforce, this is real and sad stuff that I think, we need to do a better job as a society. And that's what Lindsay's interview really hammered home for me.
Yeah, that was, I really admired that. Yeah, because also I have two daughters, and, excuse me, I remember, telling them, taking care to say, you don't have to tolerate this. You don't have to, you don't have to take this kind of behavior. However, I also told my son, this is not how you treat women. Women aren't something to be conquered or played with or whatever. So, but also, did she go into much? I kind of skipped around on the interview. Did she talk about, the fear of repercussion? Is there any sort of...
I don't think Lindsay has a lot of fucks to give, quite frankly. She, really when she, the part that she talked about that came closest to that was when she talked about hearing from another much younger woman who also had this happen to her. And she's not suing him or doing anything along those lines. So she just put this out there.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't mean repercussions now after coming out, like living or working with it.
I think working
daily.
through it for her was a couple things. I think building off of what Penny said, I think also hearing that story of another young staffer who was working with Andrew Cuomo, and also knowing that Andrew Cuomo was being considered in the Biden administration for Attorney General. She got to that point of, like, as Penny said, I have zero fucks to give. And if this is going to stop, this cycle has to be broken somehow. And if you read her Medium piece, you know, that fear and that anxiety to break through that and to put that out there in public, I think that's where she got to. And, you know, she talks about it in the Medium piece, and she spoke about it with us, you know, a week and a half ago.
Yeah, she was amazing. That was a really great interview. To find that interview, you would go to
Transformation.
Podcast. Find the podcast.
TransformationThursday.com goes to our Patreon page, which we really need to do more with, which is a whole nother subject of conversation. But I mean, it's available Apple, Spotify, you know, most of your major places where you get podcasts. So
available wherever fine pods are casted.
Yeah.
Like my radio voice there, Fitz. Where'd he go? He's gone.
Oh,
I miss him already.
Sad. I know.
Yeah, we're not being produced.
Exactly. We're unproduced. We're off the
We're
rails.
underproducing.
Exactly.
We're self-producing. No. So, when did you start the podcast?
83 podcasts ago.
That's a
That's
fuck ton of podcasts.
It's a metric fuck ton of podcasts.
Yeah, we put out our first episodes in August of 2019. Yeah. 1999. No.
Yeah, record
August of 2019, we put out our first. We started recording. We did something in April. We had a little issue with studio space, but we didn't actually really produce anything. Start producing until July of 2019. And I don't know about you, but I'm proud of our podcast. I think.
Yeah, very much.
I think it's amazingly well produced because of Penny.
I agree. I listened to a couple things. It's very well produced.
Thank
I love your opening. I love your scripts. It's much more professional than mine. No, see, you had said this before about, I thought we were going to talk about the podcast. I should have explained. My podcast is kind of like the unpodcast. I like it. It's kind of a organic evolution of just conversation, and it's not always, you know, like about the agenda of the thing. It's also getting to know the people, and then you're like listening to the people. You're like, oh, I like these people. I want to listen to their podcast, and I find that people.
Well, that's pretty cool. That's actually far more the way Amy wants to. I come from a news and sports television production background, and I script everything. You know, that's kind of the way I go. So it's
Penny unscripted is.
Obviously, you can see what it's like when I'll just bounce off of everything. So it's one of the things that happens with me.
Yeah, I mean that's what I do. I don't know how well it works, but
well, I'm having fun.
They enjoy it. Yeah. So
I think we're getting back to that though. But I think our podcast hits a nice balance there too between having an idea of where we want to go with it and letting it go off on a tangent and then bringing it back sometimes. Mm-hmm. And I think, you know, that's one of the things you see in some of the different episodes, especially, you know, there's one that I had where I did it by myself just because our schedules this early this year just been so crazy where, you know, we went way off the rails on a couple topics, but then it's like, okay, I'm like, Kimberly, we need to pull this back in. And
Fitz and I never do that.
Yeah, no, never.
We talked about calling this Tangents with Madge.
Yeah.
A few times. So, and then that's what Fitz is here for, is to like land the plane back again with
But then
me.
sometimes I go off and wander off somewhere.
We just noticed that. Exactly. Hey, when you go back to
Sorry.
Sorry,
had some phone calls.
Sorry.
Oh.
What was that show? Slings and Arrows. Are you familiar with Slings and
I
Arrows?
am not.
Okay, it's a Canadian.
I was going to say, it must be a Canadian show.
It is Canadian. I just every time I hear that, there's sorry.
Okay,
Sorry.
I've always said sorry.
Sorry.
And
Really?
I grew up near Buffalo, and when I first moved here, people would make fun of me all the time because I would say sorry, But then I realized every time I go back where I'm from, everybody else says it. So I'm like, okay, fuck you guys. Because we were, you're close to Buffalo, you're close to Canada. So
Yeah. Only Canadians can, Nickelback, right? Canadian band. They rhyme sorry and story. Go ahead. Figure that out.
I have never heard that.
I don't know enough Nickelback lyrics to be able to.
I just know that one.
The veracity of that statement. There,
I don't want to know any Nickelback.
I know. Exactly.
Trust me, it's true.
Had I known that you were a Nickelbackian,
I'm not a Nickelbackian. I just
Nickelbacker?
Nickelbacker.
My daughter's in charge of the Nickelback stuff, at home. She collects all the cans. She's 12 years old.
Oh, that's the only Nickelback I know.
We are not worthy.
All right.
We are not worthy.
Nickelbacks
Well done.
are how I got my beer money in college.
Is that all you charged? I almost got the spit
Look,
take.
times were tough.
By the time I got to college, it was quarter taps. I mean, nickel.
Well, no, you could dig through the garbage and find 5 cans and take it, and you get a quarter, and you buy a.
This deposit thing's a scam.
Just a bit.
This is so weird. I actually had a debate with somebody about that recently, and they said it was a scam, and I'm like, that's just the incentive to get it back to the recycling, and he's like, no, why don't you just put it in recycling? I'm like, because people just put it in the garbage.
Because people don't, yeah.
They still do. I had to put that blue can in there because they were throwing the bottles in the trash.
Well, don't you think they have an actuary somewhere who's crunching the numbers and said if we collect 100 nickels, only like 60 of them are going to come back?
I don't like your logical thinking.
I don't understand the whole.
I have an actuary in the family, i.e. my brother. And one time he looked at me, we're standing in line at a convenience store. He goes, do you ever wonder about the odds of the Powerball and if they're correct on the signs? I go, no. He goes, I did. And I'm like, and? He goes, they're right. I mean, like, he spent the night to figure it out. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, put that shit to use. Go to a casino
at least
or
he
something.
could do that.
Yeah, I know. That's scary shit.
I can't figure anything out.
No, me neither.
So you're not a card counter either.
Definitely not. Definitely not.
Yeah.
Exactly. Rain Man.
Wapner.
Thank you. It's just definitely not my underwear.
Yeah, it's Kmart. Kmart. Oh yeah, definitely Kmart.
Yeah.
Okay, where the hell were we again? I know.
Something about a podcast.
Oh yeah. Hey, what's the podcast about?
Yeah.
We already talked about that. No. So what? Where do you want to take your podcast?
Where do we want to take
Vegas.
it?
What do you want to do with it?
They want to take it to Vegas.
I don't know. I'm just enjoying doing it personally. I have it's like for a lot of times it's like I look forward to editing it. It's like I love to do video production and audio production, and so this actually gives me a weekly opportunity to do that.
Yeah.
So
You're still freelancing?
Yeah, I try to. Got anything?
I might.
Okay, let me know. I just finished up a big project for the Human Rights Campaign, so I actually have
Cool.
Yeah, so I'm kind of a big deal.
So where do you do?
I know. I worked for you a couple of times.
Where do you do your editing? I mean, do you have a studio at home, or you just use somebody's?
Video editing. You can do video editing.
You just got a Mac Mini, right?
do,
Yeah, I got a Mac Mini with the M1 chip.
I remember
it screams. Oh my god!
I remember telling you or being one of the people
Should we
that
go get
recommended
coffee,
that.
Madge?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's great, and they still they haven't even upgraded the Apple to accommodate the thing, and it's I will have
What, a Commodore 64?
yeah, right?
Commodore.
Yeah.
No, is that not what you said? Oh, Commodore.
With 128K of memory. Whopping.
Whopping.
I'm gonna date myself because nobody else wants to.
Exactly. Well, I pay for my dinners. I open the door for me. I'm great with myself in bed.
I give myself a hug.
And I never
Very
make myself
patient.
sleep on the wet spot. So.
Oh my God, you're an angel. God.
No, I just took your joke from you. I'm sorry.
No, I know. I'm just trying to go with it.
So
and I failed miserably. But anyway, what the hell was I talking
We're talking about
Failure.
Oh, no, I was dating myself. Myself, not that way. But yeah, cleaning out stuff. And I really forced myself to, I found a box of floppy disks and said, you can't do anything with these. Just get rid of them.
Wow. I know, right?
It's hard. I'm like, but I have a resume from 1996 on here. I might need it.
Yeah, or you find like stuff from a format you don't have anymore.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Like
One,
a
you
zip
can't,
drive.
you can't even put it. You don't have any hardware for it, and like with shit written on DOS.
Right.
Like where I can't.
Right. No.
I had somebody ask me to burn some DVDs for him. I'm like, really?
We still get people doing that at Staples.
I have one drive.
Yeah.
And like they don't sell them with DVD drives anymore.
No.
Yeah.
And which brings me to a question to our video professionals. Now it's Q&A time.
Sure.
I have several DVDs. Well, first they started out as the camcorder tapes. Then I had them put onto DVDs, and they were like when my kids who are now in their mid-20s, they're little home videos. Now, what the hell do I do? Put them get them.
You remember those days with fondness and grace.
No, I want to look at them.
My parents gave me a DVD with all those, and I'm like, I don't need. I barely.
I have a
Rip the
DVD.
DVD.
I can't. I look at them.
Just rip it.
Rip it good.
I mean, do I put it up in the cloud?
Right. See, that's what right.
And let it rain the memories down upon you. All right.
So
I'll
what do
move
I do?
on.
Do I have to take it somewhere and get it made into digital? And
Bring it here.
Duh.
you just
I mean,
say
just
you don't
ask,
have
Madge.
that-
You don't have to go this, beating around the bush and coming up
But
with
I
this
thought
whole
you
story.
said you didn't have the equipment.
Oh, I got the equipment, honey. No, what? I don't know
That's
what.
what I heard, you big whore.
I don't know. Are you talking about DVDs?
So that was
I could rip your
channeling Madge
DVDs
and
for
You
you.
got an optical drive?
I could rip your DVDs for you if you want. But if you have the original tapes,
Yeah.
go back to the original tape.
Nah, I don't.
You don't have those?
They
Chucked them?
Oh no, wait, I do have those. Anyway, Q&A
Are they
time
on
is now
8
done.
millimeter?
So
Yeah, we have a podcast.
I hear tell it's about transformations.
really,
That's a great idea for a podcast.
Yeah.
We should do
Thursdays.
that, Amy.
I think we should take it to new places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what? Yeah, seriously,
Yes.
where do you want to take it?
where do you want to
I
go?
don't, that's a great question because, we just keep coming up with guests and ideas and I think we also have an opportunity to continue to carve out a space in the political arena around here. We've had some politicians on. I enjoy having them on, especially with Lindsey Boylan and we've had Rachel Barnhart on a couple of times. So we've had some
Victor Sanchez.
Victor Sanchez.
We're going to have Carolyn Del
Vecchio
Vecchio.
Hoffman on this weekend.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think we do a nice job of presenting transformation. We've talked with Adam Chodak. We've talked with Evan Dawson, Megan Mack about the news and different things. So, yeah, we talk about transgender issues, other LGBTQ issues, but we bring in other things and we try to, I think it's a fun podcast and I think we do a great job with it. Where do we go with it? I don't know. I mean, life continues to evolve and change. And so, I think there's always going to be conversations around those things to be discussed.
Yeah.
So,
And actually, I just had on, Chloe Corcoran.
I know
watched that.
Chloe.
Yeah, I just had her on. She's a very good friend of mine, and now out in California. And I don't know. Have you?
I know her from social media, not in person.
Oh, you should have her on. She's wonderful. And it's quite an interesting story, being a college football player, and what I talked to her about was, when a lot of times when there's certain men that are like really that hyper masculine. I was a Navy SEAL, whatever, and I was asking, is that more difficult, do you think? And she was like, well, I don't know, because that's all I know. And I was like, well, yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
It's like when they asked George Harrison, what's it like to be a Beatle? And he's like, what's it like to not be a Beatle?
Right.
You don't know.
People ask John, what's it like to be a twin? And he's like, I don't know. What's it like to not be a twin? So,
Yeah.
great question, Madge. Anyway.
Yeah, but I know Chloe.
Yeah. She's wonderful. I really like her. So you think you might want to expand out of the region or out of the state or?
I don't know how. Wait, we've had people on from. We've had several people on from England, which is out of state, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and those are definitely out of state. England is way.
Even New England is out of state.
Yeah, I've performed comedy. Yeah, I've actually performed comedy a few times over in London, and so I have a bunch of friends and contacts over there. And
that's great.
So we made a new contact that was the Liam Hackett from Ditch to Label, who did a huge transgender research project on all the anti-trans, and it was amazing.
Yeah, over three. It was like 15 million. Was it 15 million?
Something
15 in over 3.5 years. 15 million transphobic comments on social media. They tracked that.
Wow.
It was
like half of those were from Bob Lonsberry.
Way to keep it light there, Fitz.
Don't forget Joe Rogan.
I was.
Oh my God!
Oh,
I'm trying very hard to forget Joe Rogan, but you keep bringing him
really?
up.
Well, we got to talk about the
yeah.
heterosexual white man. I mean, all over my Twitter today.
They're being shut out. They're being shut up. You know, that's like well,
finally.
Okay.
Poor thing.
Exactly.
Don't get
like
me.
Charlotte Clemens said, this is the best pitch ever.
Don't get me. Yeah, didn't he get in? Wasn't there some? Well, even more so lately. He did that was something. Joe Rogan.
Yeah, Joe Rogan-esque. He does. He's always Joe Roganing all over the place.
Yeah, but I thought he did something especially stupidly Joe Rogan lately. But
well, he just saying, you know, white men, cisgender, cishet white men are going to be permanently muted or something.
That is
along
what
those
it
lines.
was. What you were saying. Yeah. Okay. I thought maybe it was something else too. No, it was just
I lost.
Yeah.
You know, I don't remember exactly the exact quote because I lost interest halfway through reading the sentence. You know, it's like it's Joe Rogan being Joe Rogan.
Yeah. And that's a whole nother thing that I could go on about. That I think that's really a lot of times when people get so anti something that one, they're either having the same, I don't know, thoughts or whatever. It's, you know, like the gay politician that's so gay, you know, anti-gay, but they're a self-loathing gay man inside. They don't want to be. Or
yeah, I never understood that.
Yeah, and I'm not just saying there's, you know, a myriad of other things, but or it's they're just so afraid of the change or control. They don't.
Yeah.
You know, either way, it's fear.
Well, it's the changing demographics of the country.
Exactly.
And that's what we're seeing with all this voting change laws across the country. You know, it is fear of losing control.
Yes.
So if you can't win through open elections, limit who can participate in the elections. And then because we're going through a pandemic and all this other stuff and unemployment and all these things we have wrong with the country, let's pass a whole bunch of anti-transgender legislation targeting transgender youth, who are some of the most vulnerable people in our society, especially in, you know, states that are passing these bills. So it's a really unfortunate set of priorities that, you know, some of these folks have that are against us, because it's, you know, it's just misplaced energy, and it's really a fear-based response. And it's something, you know, when we start thinking and using the upper part of our heads into prefrontal cortex, that's where love, understanding, and compassion is from. But unfortunately, our opponents and those people who are fear-based are operating down here in the lizard part of their brain, also known as the amygdala. And there's this, they act like lizards.
There will be a test on this afterwards, and it will count.
I've always been fascinated with the reptilian brain.
Exactly.
I actually just really like to say the reptilian brain.
I like saying amygdala myself.
Amygdala's it. I was going to name my daughter Amygdala. I thought it was...
That was my first dog.
We were actually... Your dog's name was Amygdala?
No. I fancy myself an armchair psychologist.
How does that make you feel?
Hey.
That's my joke.
Well,
sorry.
Oh, joke stealing.
I'm stealing jokes from everybody here. I'm sorry.
Well, the chair.
So
the chair was a bit lumpy.
Armchair shrink.
That's how it made me feel. And I love to watch, you know, true crime shit, and so because I love the psychology behind it, like what makes people tick, and just the snippet you said there about where the process is in the brain just fascinates me. That's why I was like, I want to hear more. So perhaps another time.
Perhaps another time. Well, you know, I remembered something. I did watch your interview with Chloe, and you're talking about the toe tapping senator from Idaho who was Larry Craig.
Larry Craig.
That was the name you were searching for last week.
The wide stance Republican.
The wide stance in the Minneapolis St. Paul International Airport.
Yes. And I told her, I'm like, I'm sorry, people. You've been going to the bathroom next to transgender people for decades. And nothing happened.
And early when I started coming out, that was my biggest fear, like traveling, like especially in service areas, rest areas, stuff like that. You just, it's, that's the fear.
I can imagine, Chloe had a great point of she's more afraid of going into a men's room than a woman would be of her going into a women's room.
Well, last week I was out with some friends and there was a line at the women's bathroom and the men's was just go in and do your thing. And one of my, cisgender female friends just went right into the bathroom in the men's room and went. She didn't care. But I'm like, I can't take that risk.
Yeah.
I'm going to wait in line and nearly pee my pants. But
I have a bit about that because when my son, his college graduation, there were like 3,000 people there, and there was literally one ladies' room with 3 stalls. And like then it was next to the men's room, so everyone was going, when I was like, I could butch it up for 5 minutes. Really, really, really easy. It's like, I lived a life for 50 years. I can do this. Lost the bet, So I have to say, fucking Bills and/or Sabres, depending on the season.
How about the Mets?
Yeah. How about that LeBron, huh? Is he the GOAT or what? Nah. I got it going. I win. Yay!
Every time somebody uses that word "goat," I think that in my head. So that you brought it out and made me laugh out loud.
Brought out the goat.
Did. Anyway. So okay, back to transgender and using the bathroom. And all right, so about men being so threatened or afraid of whatever. If a transgender woman were to come in, they get all the transphobic shit. But at the same time, y'all pee standing up next to each other out in the open.
Write your damn names.
For decades. So why?
It's an excuse. Simple.
Ooh,
excuse to kick somebody's ass.
Why? So you're comparing dicks
because sorry about this, Fitz. I'm going to do a big generalization here, but I will defy you to prove me wrong. American men, Western culture men, especially cisgender, heterosexual white men, the entire world is a game of marry, fuck, kill.
Oh, yeah.
Any questions? Seriously, that's all it is.
That's her third TED Talk.
Yes. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Marry, fuck, kill.
Shit, I'm behind because I didn't do that last part.
Well, it's not always actually kill, like actually murder, but destroy, make sure that they don't even in business, that's a perfect way. Marry, fuck, kill. Either we're going to join forces with these people, or I'm going to screw them over, or I'm going to eliminate them entirely.
Yeah.
With women, I'm going to, marry, sometimes you do all 3 of those. That's that's Donald Trump's history with women. He would marry them, then he would fuck them over, and then he would get rid of them.
Yeah. Well, that's a classic abuser.
Yeah. And that's pretty much and that's what I learned in, growing up. I remember that because I was in the 1960s, there was no such thing as transgender. And I was I was abusive as a man. I will come right out and say that right now. That I was, because that's what I learned. And especially the most masculine guys out there is what I wanted to be, because I wanted no one to have any doubts that I was not a man. And I hated that about myself. And it was one of the things that made my entire world come crashing down around me in 2000. And then and so I started rebuilding, and I learned to accept and do everything I can to make amends for my abusive behavior, both in my interpersonal relationships and in the world in general. But that's what I learned. That was the behavior that was acceptable and expected of men.
Yeah. And that's what I was and a minute ago when I was saying you men, I meant men in general. I shouldn't say men in general, but but it is.
Why not?
Bathrooms are, okay. Men's rooms have been standing next to each other,
right.
Having a dick measuring competition or whatever.
Yeah, I'm gonna jump in here now.
Please do.
I never did that.
Measured dick?
Yeah, no.
What?
Never even wanted to. I actually really hated going into the restrooms that had the trough.
Oh my God.
Oh,
The
God.
fucking trough scared the shit out of me. I hated the trough. So I like my privacy.
So,
But I think you talk about bathrooms, and a lot of this is that fear base, and it's like, and you and Chloe mentioned this last week, and so I don't mean to rehash all this, but at the same time, there's this thing of like, people on the right, conservative right, are going to say, oh, this is going to allow these pervy men to go in.
Right.
And then they find these news stories or these examples, and it's always the pervy guy. It's never the transgender woman.
Yeah.
It's always, so it's always
The pervy Christian guy too, for some reason.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean,
Josh Duggar.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's another all of this has made me think of something that Chloe said and that you had touched on, is she had talked about being loud enough to be quiet, being, overcompensating with things, either, masculinity, Christianity, whatever. And, and that's what this whole bathroom thing has what you just said, is that it's never usually.
No, it's never a trans person. It's usually a cisgender male pervert.
And my question to them has always been
Always.
No, I know. I wasn't going to say anything. You said it like always. She doesn't say always. I don't know if it's a Minnesota thing, but she always says always.
Always.
Always. It's always been this. I'm like, always is what my little kid has on their finger. But no, what were we talking about? I just thank you for derailing my.
You're welcome.
Going to the bathroom, pervy men.
Oh yeah, this could be. They want to regulate trans. There's no record really of trans women are no more danger to women than cisgender women are. And then, well, somebody might do this. So you want to regulate everybody over something might. How do you feel about coaches, by the way? Are you anti-coach? Are you anti-priest?
I was just going to say.
Are you anti-stepfather, real father, uncles, brothers, football players, swimmers? All of these guys, there's a track record of sexual assault that they are actually doing, and that's okay. So I'm not really sure that what you're talking about here is transgenders or just your incredible uncomfortability with anything that gets you out of your box of masculinity.
Amen.
Preach.
Hallelujah. Can I get an owies?
Owies.
Yeah, because that's, last week with Chloe, I know it wasn't you. I don't know. So a couple of people were like, you seemed so awkward, and I'm not really awkward, but
Really?
Yeah. I know.
Yeah, I think you default to awkward, and that's the most adorable thing about you.
Oh, thanks. No, but with things like this, I'm very LGBTQ friendly, ally, advocate, whatever, and I'm very empathetic to everyone, and sometimes I overthink about using the right words, the right terms. When I just say, I'm really thinking in my head, like, what the fuck do you think about peeing next to somebody? You know what I mean?
I don't think much about it at all.
Well, yeah.
Really?
I know, you don't. So, with Chloe.
I'm thinking about it now just because I have to go, but that's the only.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You want me to make running water noises? Oh, but yeah, that shit drives me insane with it's like the thought police in 1984, like, what do you think they're going to do? Well, all these other dudes have done it. What are you doing about them?
Right. That's exactly right.
I just want to pee.
It's just an excuse to have some sort of cisgender, cishet normatization.
Yeah, and that's, I don't remember, I heard one that, you'll get the people that are like, I think what gender you were born with, that's the bathroom that you should use. Well, if you're a transgender woman, what are you going to check everybody's genitals at the door?
That's the unfortunate part about this is we go back to the anti-transgender legislation affecting especially transgender girls and their ability to play youth and high school sports. Mm-hmm. There are states, Idaho, Texas, a couple others that have written into some of these bills. Yeah, if somebody accuses a transgender girl or even a cisgender girl of being assigned male at birth, that they could demand a genital check.
Yeah, we talked about that.
So we're joking about that in the bathroom context, but this has become very real for some youth. Not even trans. You can have a cisgender girl who is very masculine looking be forced to submit to some sort of genital check.
Yeah, there's a cisgender.
That's horrific.
Caster's mania.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, she is a cisgender woman, but they have disqualified her because they believe she has too much testosterone in her system.
Yep. Well, I don't know if you seem to be things you were talking about. We're around the same age. The East German swimmers.
Oh yeah.
When it's like they kept doing. People kept challenging. Are they the men? Are they women? And I think that was before drug testing.
That was pretty much what started the drug tests.
Yeah. Right. So
because this one tiny country was kicking ass and getting all these.
Yeah. And what was her name? Oh, Susie something or other. But yeah, I mean, I don't remember anybody asking to see her.
Yeah, it doesn't.
There was just a Russian athlete who died recently she was also accused of that in the 60s.
Was she a shot putter?
Yep.
Yeah.
And she just kind of faded off and maintained a very low profile, especially in her retirement. And you can't blame them for that.
Yeah, right. Oh, my goodness.
Well, the thing is that the human expression has all these different elements in it. But for some reason within our society and within our world, when it comes to gender and sex, it becomes very dimorphic. And, a lot of times in that dimorphic, people in how that's determined is when a baby's born, they just look underneath and say, boy, girl. But for, 98 to 99% of the population, that works. But there is the 1% to 2% of us that doesn't work for, and it could be genitals, it could be in our brains, it could be other parts of our body that it just doesn't align right. And we all look for this right answer for this. Everybody's looking to science, brain scans, and all this stuff. But the truth of the matter is, all this stuff is very murky.
Yeah.
Both sides could look at it and say, "Haha, I got it over here," and the other side could go, "No, I got it over here." And it's just the complexity of being human. And I wish more people could understand it and just let us live as transgender and intersex people how we want to live our lives, because when it comes down to it, it doesn't really affect anybody else other than us and our families.
Exactly. I was always taught live and let live, and that's how I live. And I wish.
Amen, sister.
Hello. Hey, I got one quick question before we wrap it up here.
Sure. I thought we were just starting.
Yeah.
Have we started yet?
Yeah, were we going to talk about the podcast?
Then where are my French fries? Damn it!
They're soggy. I'm sorry.
Now you can start rolling tape now. No.
Rolling tape. Oh my God!
Let me go.
You are dating yourself.
Film at 11.
Do you know where your children are? No, I've always said shit rolls downhill. Everybody needs to find the next, whatever group lower than them to take all their bullshit out on.
And I find that in comedy especially. I think, you get a lot of these older cisgender comics who feel, they can't make fun of the Asians anymore. They can't make fun of the gays. They can't make fun of the blacks. They can't make fun of any other group. But yet, Dave Chappelle can go on Netflix and make fun of trans people, and some people care, but for the most part, people don't care about that. And even within the comic circles that we run in, who would consider ourselves friends, but yet, even within that, Dave Chappelle had some pretty keen observations on the transgender experience in one of his specials, but yet he follows that up with, well, being trans is just funny because, wrong brain, wrong body, and it's just like, really?
Yeah.
you kind of had a shot at this where, you did have a good joke, but, it's the nuances of life.
That's why I'm glad I'm not in any kind of public light anymore, because I would make those mistakes. I would come up with something, not think it through, and offend a shitload of people.
And that's my biggest fear. And that's how
just trying to get a laugh and realize that, oh shit, I just alienated a whole group of my friends. Or, oh shit, I didn't think about that group of people.
That's me, exactly.
That's what I do.
That is my, I
That's Madge unmuted.
No, that's Madge muted because she's afraid of
for me, a lot of it has to do with intent. If somebody inadvertently says something and then you say, wait, okay, this is why that's problematic. And they're like, oh, I hadn't considered that and I'm sorry.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll be honest. I used to do stand up as well. And I did a joke that I would start out with. And because like all my friends in town are gay. Like I live at the Avenue Pub. So I did one of my shows, like everybody from the pub came. And I think Chloe was one of them. Anyway, and so I said, hi, I'd like to welcome you. In today's climate, my pronouns are, she, her, and I was born a woman. So if you see me in the men's bathroom, buy me a drink. Is that offensive or is that just
No, it's you being horny.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm a woman going into the guys.
You're not.
Okay.
You're
So
not,
all right.
What are you drinking?
That's a joke. that's a joke about you. That's not a joke about somebody else.
Oh, okay. See, that's the kind of, I'm like so overly sensitive about
I can understand that.
But
I
my
can
friends,
really do.
they thought it was funny. So.
Yeah, well, it is.
Okay, thanks.
And and also I'll buy a second one. Because maybe by that point, she'll have lost. Never mind.
I'll take gift cards too.
I'll take the nickels. I'll take the nickel deposit. That's what I'll take.
Yeah, I'll take the bag of bottles in my garage.
Anyway, on that note, tell us again, where can we find your podcast?
Did we talk about
Transformation
that?
Thursday.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, Transformation Thursday, wherever fine podcasts are sold. We're on Spotify. We're on Apple.
Google.
Yeah.
We're on the major ones.
Yeah, wherever, any place that does podcasts, just type in Transformation Thursday and, pick on the ones that have the adorable trans women, which would be us.
Leave us a 5-star review, especially on Apple. Those really help, don't they?
Yes. Rate. What's that shit you always say, Fitz? Rate and review, subscribe.
What shit is that?
Whatever, some rate and
review?
and
Rate and review.
I thought it was reduce, reuse, recycle.
Yes,
rinse,
that's
repeat. Yeah, all of that.
Pitch in.
Stop, drop, and roll.
Yeah,
Duck and cover.
That was my favorite one.
I know, really. Even back then, I thought bullshit on all this stuff. Like they have us go in the hallway and line up against.
Exactly.
It's like, what was that? So then the Russians come in, they'd be easy to gun us down.
Yes.
Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. You make my life much easier this way.
And while you're there, put some sawdust on the throw up.
Exactly. Oh
anyway,
I can now smell those halls.
I know. Social media. Where can we find you?
Facebook, Transformation Thursday for our private group, at TransThirds Pod on Instagram and Twitter.
Okay.
Or just Penny Sterling, or that's any place you go, type in Penny Sterling, click on the picture that looks like me, and this is me.
Ding, ding.
Yeah, Amy Stevens, STEPHENS.
Perfect. Fitz, want to thank you, as usual, RockFox Studios, rockfox.com for all your recording needs. Look him up, you bastard.
Rockfox.com. Thank you.
Rockfox.com. Me, Madge. Madge Unmuted. Please subscribe while you're here. Ding, ding. Like and share and rate and review and rinse, repeat, and reuse, recycle.
All right.
Yeah.
Great. Look us up. And thank you again for coming.
Thanks for having us.
I appreciate it.
We
And
enjoy
next
being
time we'll
had.
talk about your podcast. I promise.
Yeah.
Do we have a podcast?
I think so.
How come no one told me?
Until next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.